LeBron James has done it again. This time he incited the Jordan lovers. And I'm going to tell you today why Coach K is the greatest basketball coach in history. And Jahlil Okafor has got a shot of being an all-star this season. All that more in this edition of NBA Files. Let's ball. And welcome to the NBA Files. Kwame Fisher-Jones, Roy Burton, broadcasting from Overbrook High School in West Philadelphia. I'm excited about today's show, man.
Let's do it, man.
LeBron James.
My
man
James.
LeBron. This is why I love LeBron. This is why I love LeBron. This is why I'm Team LeBron.
Oh, man.
I actually got a chance to go through some of the shows to do some improvement. And you can check the tape here. Show 1, I asked you who's going to win the NBA Finals.
You did.
You were wrong. I was right. I said, I'm going with LeBron. It's something about them. Now, I did bail on them later, but I was delusional because I was sitting next to you. You affected my judgment. When I came back through, I actually watched it, and I was consistent. Shows 1, 2, 3, 4, that the Cleveland Cavaliers won the title. This is why I love this dude.
Okay.
He's doing a podcast show.
Right.
For a company he owns. They're called The Uninterrupted. And he didn't disrespect Michael Jordan.
No, not at all.
He didn't take shots at him.
Not at all.
But what he said was people act like Michael did it himself.
Right.
And it's funny because that's the issue I have with you and people alike. Well, no, because the great athlete, Kevin Durant never gets the blame, but he gets all the applause.
Right.
So when you hear the best athlete in professional sports, the best athlete in professional sports,
He's the best.
Call out individuals and say something like people act like Michael did it by himself, and then go through. Well, I'll say the second part of the question.
Okay.
When you hear that, what
I got to run this back, man. Who was saying this? Like, in what world does LeBron live in where people are saying that Michael Jordan did it by himself?
Yes.
Who has said Michael Jordan did it by himself?
People act like Michael Jordan did it by himself. When you hear he's the greatest player of all time, you say, what? He won 6 titles. Did he? He won 6 titles?
Well, but that's the way we talk. We know it's not he won 6 titles. We know it's not Magic won 5 titles. But Magic has 5 titles on his resume.
I got to call BS on that.
Okay.
People say he did, and then when you say,
I want to meet these people. Where are these people?
They're anywhere. You can turn on sports
still,
talk radio in any country except China.
Are these still the ghosts, like the ghosts of Michael Jordan that LeBron's chasing? Are they like those kind of people? Like I see dead people? Is that what we're talking
Roy
about?
Burton, how many times have you heard people say, he won 6 titles, and you say, well, what about the 80s? He couldn't do it by himself. But he won 6 titles, but he couldn't do it by himself when he lost. So you're saying that that's taken out of context?
I'm saying that LeBron, whatever LeBron's talking about, and I don't know. No people are saying that Michael Jordan did it all by himself.
So no one.
We understand. Who says this?
That's a facade.
We all know that Michael needed Scotty, and he needed Dennis, and he needed Horace, and he needed Phil, and Steve Kerr, and John Paxson, and all those dudes.
In full disclosure,
we know this.
He, along with Dennis Johnson, and what he did with the Seattle Supersonics, and perhaps Shaq, the second title, were the closest and Hakeem Olajuwon, were the closest athletes we'll see to ever winning a title by themselves. Meaning, if you took another player, like if you took Charles Barkley and threw him on the Bulls, they don't win. So I get the gist of it. I think the premise is flawed.
Right.
And I understand what LeBron's saying because when he dissects one of the critical plays and one of, to me, it's a play We've
talked about this on the show. Yeah.
It's why Charles Barkley, because he was a selfish ball player. He breaks down the defense. But he brings up a great point. Paxson hits the shot.
Right.
Horace throws it out to him. Mike doesn't even touch the ball. Now, full disclosure, Mike had like 19 points in a row to get them back. But I understand what he's saying. And I do think that part of the allure of Michael Jordan is this premise that he may not have literally done it by himself. The perception is he was so elevated above everyone else.
Okay.
And that's the issue I think.
All right. So I'll we'll meet in the middle ground on that. I can agree with that. I can agree because there are people who think that Michael Jordan. There are people that think that Michael Jordan did have an extra human or superhuman impact on the Chicago Bulls 6 titles. When clearly, he was the best player, and obviously we'll grant him that.
And when he won, you got to talk about that. The era that he won in.
Yes.
The 90s was not a good basketball era.
Not at all.
And he dominated players who habitually came short, whether it was in college. What was the biggest sports upset in college basketball? Georgetown losing to Villanova. Who was the centerpiece of that team? Patrick Ewing.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
who was one of the biggest disappointments in the NCAA tournament? Charles Barkley. These are the guys they beat. So we're going to take a break, come back. I want to continue this topic because I think it's a good discussion. Overbrook High School, the NBA Files. Roy Burton, Kwame Fisher-Jones. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NBA Files. Got a little early there. I'm excited about the topic, man. I love the I love LeBron James. I do. I profess it.
As you should.
Yeah, I've loved.
He's one of the greatest players we've ever seen in our lifetime.
He's the closest thing to sports perfection. He's my Bill Russell. You know, and I'm sure he has flaws that we don't know about, but Mike can't do what Kobe did.
Agreed.
Mike can't do what LeBron's done.
Agreed. I don't know who can do what LeBron's done.
Kobe did it, you know.
Kind of, but not really. Not really. Like LeBron is special. And we need to appreciate that.
But I love his he's passive aggressive in some ways.
Oh, that's, you know what, on my notes, the first thing I wrote down, I said, this is LeBron James being his regular passive aggressive self. Because that's all this man is. This man is passive aggressive to no end, man.
But you have to be sometimes. There's you know, my great-grandmother used to say, and I know I'm a butcher, but you get more flies with honey than you do with, you know, sugar than you do with like asphalt or something.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
But the whole thing is you can get people's attention sometimes by being sweet and nice.
Right.
More than you can by being direct and angry. So
Absolutely.
if he comes out and says, you know, MJ didn't do it by himself, but he not only does he take direct shots at MJ,
right.
he takes shots at Fat Boy. He took some shots at Fat Boy.
He did.
Which he should, because everybody should be offended that Charles Barkley's in the position.
I'm just glad LeBron James watches this show because he probably saw your segment ripping Charles Barkley for 15 minutes a couple of weeks ago about gambling on that play.
You know, but on a serious note, when you think about it, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
When he says MJ didn't do it himself,
right.
We talked about the team. How much do you think he's considering the era?
LeBron, ooh, that's a good question. See, I want to give him credit because LeBron's a historian. I mean, he understands the history of the game. He understands the guys who came before him and how great those, like Oscar Robertson and Bill Russell and those guys. He understands the impact those guys had. So I want to say that he does consider the era of the 90s, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I know it's not the answer that you want, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say yes, he does consider the era.
I was going to say, do you think he would be in a situation where he possibly would speak uninformed? Because I think the 80s were a great era.
I agree.
You agree the 80s were a great era?
The 80s were a better era than the 90s. I'm not going to disagree on that.
Okay. So the guy that is regarded as arguably the greatest player of all time, in the greatest era of basketball, 38 and 44, 1 and 3 in the playoffs his first year.
Okay.
Magic steps on the court. What did Magic do his first year?
What did Magic do?
Won an NBA title. I don't know.
He won the title.
That's damn right.
That's right. He won the title.
Because he came to Philly and played center. Mike can't do that. Mike couldn't play center. Magic came into Philly, played center, and won a title his rookie year. Okay. I'm just saying.
Okay.
What was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doing his rookie year? Competing for an NBA title. Mike was going 38 for 44, 1 and 3 in the playoffs. Okay. Second year, which he didn't play the whole season. He played I think 17 games.
Right.
But that's the year where Mike dropped 63 in the playoffs against the Celtics.
That's right. Fresh off a broken foot.
Fresh off a broken foot. How many games did they win in that playoff series?
I don't know. You got the numbers in front of you.
None. Yeah, I'm setting you up for this. I'm directing all my frustration for the Mike lovers too. 0-3 in the playoffs. Next year, 40 and 42, 0-3. So his first 3 years in the greatest era of the NBA, the greatest player of all time, allegedly won 1 playoff game.
Wow.
And didn't even come close to winning 50% of his games.
All right, so this is Michael Jordan, again, in the early era part of his career, when he was walking on guys doing lines of coke in hotel rooms. he was supposed to take those guys to the title.
You know, you got more excuses.
I got it.
You got more excuses than a virgin on prom night when it comes to MJ.
I got it.
And the bottom line is it took him 5 years to get to an Eastern Conference title. 5 years.
Man.
5 years. So everyone else is high, everyone else is coke. Didn't LeBron play with a guy that was bipolar?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Okay.
And didn't Kareem? But you know what? It doesn't matter. it really. I think and I don't mean to be facetious. I think.
Oh man.
To everyone privately, and I've talked to NBA players privately about this. They know Michael Jordan's not the greatest player of all time.
Ooh.
And much to your chagrin, they would agree, or much to my chagrin, they agree with you that he did not do it by himself. But he was arguably one of the greatest forces in the NBA.
Agreed.
And to do that under 6'10", under 6'8",
yeah,
says a lot about him. And I think he was, arguably one of the greatest to ever do that. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and go from one great player to the greatest coach of all time with Mike Krzyzewski. NBA Files.
Welcome back to the NBA Files. Roy Burton, Kwame Fisher-Jones here at Overbrook High School. And before the break, we promised you, we're talking Coach K, who one of us believes is the greatest coach of all time, and the other one has the right opinion about this. So Mr. Fisher-Jones, let me ask you, why do you believe the overrated Coach K is the greatest coach to ever step on the floor?
Before we go there,
Before
we go there, I threw something late on you last night, so I want to get. Who are your top 5 coaches of all time?
You want to start off with that?
Yeah, I wanted
to tear down your Coach K argument first before we get into that. But my top 5 coaches, pro and college. Okay.
In order from 5 to 1.
See, because I have one, and then I have a tier of 3 guys.
This is a dude that's not confident in his list.
I got a tier of 3 guys. I got a tier of 3. Your boy is on tier 2. I'm going to put your boy Coach K on tier 2. But on tier 1, there's one man who stands alone as the best coach in basketball history. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know his name, the greatest coach ever, John Wooden. The best coach of all time. The greatest coach of all time. And on my second tier, I got 3 guys on my second tier. I didn't spice this out for you.
Controversial there.
You asked me who the best coach is. He's the best coach. In my next tier, in no particular order, Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Coach K.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See, this is the problem when you bring these dudes in.
Okay.
When you bring these Michael Jordan lovers in here.
Michael Jordan lovers
to make decisions.
Michael Jordan lovers.
I want your top 5 from 5 to 1. I'll give you mine.
All right. Fine.
In particular
You want an order? I'll give you an order. But go ahead.
All right. In particular order. Number 5.
Yes.
One of the most underrated coaches ever. Casey Jones.
Okay.
From Boston Celtics, coach. And a lot of you guys watching don't know who Casey Jones is. He coached 10 seasons in the NBA. I had to write this down because I remember this, but I wasn't sure. 5 straight Eastern Conference titles, or 5 straight Eastern Conference Finals appearances, right? 4 straight trips to the NBA Finals, 2 rings, but in 10 seasons, he had 1 losing season.
Okay.
1 losing season. So Casey Jones is number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, Red Auerbach, for obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons.
And the cultural impact, the chances he took, the way, I don't want to say he created the fast break because there's some that say there was that John McLeod did it. I think I said his name right.
Yeah, John McLeod, yeah.
But the outlet pass, implementing rebounding as an impact on the game, all those things. But what he did with the point guard, Auerbach is number 4.
Okay.
Number 3, Phil Jackson. It's hard to motivate talented players.
Hard work.
To believe in.
Not only that, it's hard to get talented players to mesh, to be willing to sacrifice for each other in order for the greater good of the team. It's hard.
And he coached the most selfish player I've ever heard of on the court. I think Phil will never get credit for that. Mike was great. But he was as stubborn as a 3-legged mule.
He coached another stubborn guy, too. He coached another stubborn guy, too.
Yeah, and Kobe.
Yeah. Those are the 2 most stubborn guys maybe in basketball history.
Well, you think about this, too. It's a great point, because we're going to argue 1 and 2 in a minute.
Okay.
But you think about Phil Jackson's greatness. He got the most out of arguably the greatest enigma in sports. Because there had never been a guard to put fear in people. Like Isaiah was the first to dominate the game, but he put fear in dudes.
Fear in guys,
You would see dudes at the national anthem like this, trying not to look at him like maybe he won't notice me.
Right.
You know, and he got him because Dean Smith didn't get poop out of him. When he needed Mike to be a leader, couldn't get crap out of him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So Phil Jackson, number 2, John Wooden.
John Wooden, number 2. Okay.
Number 1, my man, 50 grand, Coach K.
Coach K. Okay.
He got a dude to be selected first overall who played 9 games. Talk to me. We got to take a break.
He's a good recruiter. Okay.
He got a cat
He's a
who
good
played
recruiter.
9 games to be the first pick in the NBA draft. And this dude finally hit a shot in Kyrie Irving. He finally hit a shot. And when they asked about it, what did he do? Mamba mentality. That's what he was thinking. And who does the Mamba think's the greatest coach? Coach K.
Coach K.
So I'm going to come back. I sucked all the air out of this segment. We're going to come back. I'm going to give the mic to Roy so he can dig a further hole for himself. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files, broadcasting from a steamy Overbrook High School, and it's about to get even hotter.
Yes, sir.
So give me your top 5 through 1. No BS. Don't fluff me out. 5 through 1.
I'm gonna put this in order for you because I know you like order. You're a man of law and order, and I appreciate that. Number 5, Pat Riley. I mean, Pat Riley, what he did in LA. I
like that.
Is, again, like he had 5 titles altogether.
That.
4 with the Lakers, another one with the Heat. Again, a totally different NBA when he won the last title with the Heat. So Pat Riley is my number 5. My number 4 coach of all time, his number 1 coach of all time, Coach K. Again, Coach K, very good resume, which we'll talk about in more detail. But Coach K, number 5. Number 4, I got to give it to my man Phil Jackson. Again, 11 titles in 20 years. You can't. There's not much you can say about his resume. That's not impressive. Number 2, I'm going to go with Red Auerbach, and number 1, John Wooden.
All right, so John Wooden's my 2. He's your 1. So what does Wooden give you that Coach K didn't give you?
John Wooden's his coaching run, 10 titles in 12 years in that era, in a time where freshmen weren't eligible to play. Again, this is college, so you got the constant turnover. So you're winning titles like consistently, 88 games in a row winning streak as well during that time. It's just so hard to be that consistent on the collegiate level. That's amazing. That's the most amazing coaching feat maybe in any sport ever.
I agree with that feat, but here's where I take it. And one of the things about being a great coach is personality. That's what we talked about Phil Jackson. Personalities. Coach K just won 2 Olympic gold medals.
Which you don't care about, but yes.
No, I don't give a rat's ass about Olympic gold medals. But the bigger thing that he did that excites me, that is why I elevate. He took chumps.
Chumps.
I know that's not the politically correct word to say.
That's better than what you could have used.
He took chumps. He took Carmelo Anthony and turned him into a champion. He took Kevin Durant and turned him into a gold medal winner.
3-time gold medal winner.
And Carmelo is my favorite player. We're going to talk about him a little later. But mentally, Carmelo is known to combust at times. Since he's left Jim Boeheim, he's combust. Coach K turned Carmelo into a mentally strong player. And they annihilated that team. And they weren't playing against Serbia.
Right.
They were playing against themselves. That's the mark of a great coach. That they're so confident. I'm just throw it in a bucket here. Chip Kelly. He couldn't get them dudes to buy into anything.
No, sir.
If Chip Kelly gave the Philadelphia Eagles a buy one, get one free coupon, players would still show up to the restaurant with money in their pocket like, I don't trust this dude.
Yeah.
Coach K got these cats to come in and believe in them.
Okay.
Believe in his system. The assistant coaches have changed. The players have changed.
Yep.
He took grown men to close their eyes and fall on his shoulders. That's why he's the greatest coach. And Wooden did it with college players. He took millionaires and got them to believe. Dwayne Wade came off the bench.
Right.
08, was it? Yeah, it was 08. So he's won 3 gold medals. Three straight. Came off the bench and played arguably the greatest basketball I've ever seen him play. When you watch Coach K interact with these guys in practice, he's trying to be hip, which is always funny. He says, Dwayne Wade, where'd you learn how to do that bank shot? Like playing, hooping it up on the schoolyard? Get the hell out of here. But that's what he gives you, man. Wooden was great. And sometimes we often argue about people and say, this guy's better than this guy, so it's a shot at another guy. But it's just Coach K is so much better. And the fact he did it with pros.
See, but here's the thing, though. How many coaches could have won 3 gold medals with that team? Like
Lenny Wilkens couldn't do it.
You could find a bunch of guys. You can find other guys who could have done the same thing.
I disagree.
You could find like the new head coach of Team USA basketball, Greg Popovich. He's probably going to win 3 gold medals if you.
I don't think he will.
I think he will.
I think Pop is going to actually. I think Pop's going to struggle to medal.
Really?
I think we're going to see the real Greg Popovich.
Wow.
Because Tim Duncan's gone.
Okay.
I think we're going to see the real Greg Popovich, and I can't wait. Because here's the thing. LaMarcus Aldridge ain't no Tim Duncan. And as much as I love Kawhi Leonard, I'm going to take my son to go see him play. As much as I love Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi's slipping away from him. He doesn't have that grasp on him they had on Tim Duncan. So I think we'll say it. But no, I don't believe anybody else could have done that.
Wow.
And
anybody?
No
one. Okay.
George Karl. Okay. Lenny Wilkens. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more Coach K, and we're going to talk a little bit more Carmelo Anthony. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NBA Files. Roy Burton, Kwame Fisher-Jones, broadcasting from Overbrook High School. We're talking Coach K and why he's the greatest, hands down.
Hands down.
Without any argument except from Roy Burton, who for some reason, you have him at 4.
Number 4, correctly, number 4.
No, correctly,
yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about what Wooden gave you, and I gave why I wanted Coach K. But also, there were some other guys, because when you do a top list, there's always people left off.
Exactly.
And the consistent factor that our 5 had was they all had great players, superstar players, which you need great players to win, but they were able to motivate these players.
Right.
Some of the guys, 2 of the guys that I wanted to add to my list, and I was back and forth with Bob Knight and Jim Calhoun. Obviously, college coaches. I never thought of Greg Popovich as a top 5.
That was my other question to you, because you said Casey Jones, who won 2 titles, but when you're top 5, you didn't have Pat Riley and you didn't have Greg Popovich. Both of them won 5 titles. Like, what's the rationale behind Casey Jones over 2 guys like that?
It's a great question. The reason why I went with Casey Jones is because he went to 4 straight NBA Finals.
Okay.
He went to 5 straight Eastern Conference Finals in an era when NBA was at its best.
Okay.
And he lost to a Pistons team who at that time had been knocking. Greg Popovich, I've always felt, in full disclosure, Greg Popovich, we both coached in the same college league. He was obviously a head coach. I was a student assistant coach, but he coached at Pomona, Cal State Pomona, or Cal Poly Pomona. The Spurs were great for a time span. They always won 50 games, always in the playoffs.
19 years. That's a pretty impressive time span.
It is.
60% winning percentage. It's 19 years in a row.
But dude,
you just said the same thing about Casey Jones. Never had a losing season.
Where's the back-to-back?
You said Casey Jones never had a losing season.
No, he had 1 in 50.
Had 1 losing season. Greg Popovich has had 1 in 20. 19 years in a row, they won 60% of their games. He has 5 NBA titles.
All great points. Where's the back-to-back?
That resume outshines Casey Jones.
He don't want to answer my question. Where's the back-to-back?
Oh, so you got to have a back-to-back?
It's not you have to have a back-to-back, but you have to have qualifying factors, and consistency matters. And that consistency over time frame is good. But when you throw in, and you look at the guys that we added, they won, Auerbach won in an era when the NBA was building. Phil Jackson won when the NBA was waning down from the 80s to the 90s.
Correct.
But Casey Jones and John Wooden won during segregation and those things. But Casey Jones winning in the 80s as a African-American head coach in the city of Boston with a lineup. It wasn't that diverse. I mean, let's be realistic. Larry Bird, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale. Yeah, you got Robert Pash. You got Dennis Johnson.
Yeah.
You got a couple brothers on the team. But the team is Larry Bird and Kevin McHale.
Right.
And then you got Danny Ainge.
Right.
So to get those dudes to believe in you, because they had Bill Fitch before then. And then they had 2 seasons where they were, I think 1 season they didn't even make the Eastern Conference Finals. KC comes in and they jump right back.
Right.
Those things matter to me. And, again, it's not that Popovich is bad. It's just Casey Jones was better. And you threw it a note before with Coach K, said anyone steps in could coach those guys.
Not anyone. But I think there's a handful of guys who could have done the same thing.
You put Popovich on those Bird-led teams, They ain't winning titles.
You don't think so?
No, and you put Casey Jones coached in Game 7s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Popovich beat Larry Brown in a Game 7. Whoa-ho.
Oh, man. I just have a hard time putting a guy with 2 titles, and there were 2 good titles in a good era of basketball, over a guy who won 5 titles over a span of 15 years. I mean, that's, again, longevity. I mean, this is a man who has shown that he's been a good coach with multiple styles of the NBA, because the NBA evolved from 99 to the last title.
It's a fair point. It's one I would expect from a fan such as yourself. No, but seriously, I'm not going to knock his titles. That's what I'm not going to do. They're a great accomplishment, and I respect them ultimately. I just look at what Casey Jones did in the time frame in which he did it, in an era in which he did it.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
The things, the nuances that were against him, and it stands out to me. But we're pushed against it.
Okay.
So we can't, in one word, Bob Knight. I know it's random, but in one word, Bob Knight.
I can't give you one word. I can't give you
erratic.
One word. You know, that's the word.
Erratic.
That's the word.
And
that's
it's a shame because he should be on this.
He's a really good coach.
He's
a really good coach.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NBA Files. We're transitioning from one great coach argument to a player who at times has looked great.
At times.
Who's struggled consistently. But Carmelo Anthony, and let me set the backdrop for everybody.
Okay.
Brazil is known to have some very slum areas. And when the participants in the Olympics went to Brazil, they were given a memo. Stay away from these areas.
Right.
Well, I don't want to say to escape the pressure, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's probably pro-us, yeah.
Carmelo goes to number 1 on the list and plays basketball, talks to the locals in that area. It wasn't widely reported. I found out about it because somebody knows that I'm a Carmelo Anthony fan, and she brought it to me and said, "Did you see what Carmelo did?" But I think that speaks to why I love Carmelo.
Okay.
And I want to pose a question to you. First, just on a basketball level. Do you believe Carmelo is misunderstood as a basketball player? And then I'm going to ask you, do you think the second part, do you think he's misunderstood as a person?
Well, let me ask you, just to kind of clarify the beginning part of that question. Like, misunderstood as a basketball player? Like, what do you mean specifically? Is it like, do we not appreciate him enough?
Do you think
know what kind of a player he is?
Elevated to a status that he shouldn't be in? Do you think that he's looked at and critiqued more for what he hasn't done versus what he has done?
The short answer is yes, and let me explain that. And a lot of that is because of the guys who were drafted around him. I mean, when you're drafted, in the same top 5 as LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, you're going to have those same kind of expectations. You're going to have the same kind of, check boxes on the form. Like, did you do this? Did you do this? Those guys have all won titles. Those guys arguably have Hall of Fame careers. So you're going to be judged at that level. So I think it's fair. I think he has been judged at that level, but I think it's fair because that's just what we do.
Well, I told you before about how I feel about the word fair. It's a place where they deep fry butter. I don't think it really exists in the real world. They race pigs at fairs. You don't get judged there. He's this era's Charles Barkley, but he's much more socially conscious.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's much more socially responsible. And I believe Carmelo will have a better career outside of basketball when he's done playing basketball than he will in basketball. To answer my question, I think he's misunderstood as a player. No, because that talent yields some sort of culpability. The player that floated around in Syracuse and won titles at Syracuse is not the player we watch on a daily basis in the NBA. That's frustrating, and he should be held accountable for that. Do I think he's misunderstood as a person? 100%. But I think LeBron James is too. I think you have a cultural gap between the players that play, people that cover them. So, do you think his career, though, has been a disappointment?
No, I don't think he's been a disappointment. Personally, I don't think to me. I mean, he's done enough on the court that merits, I guess, the adulation or his standing in the NBA. I mean, 7-time All-NBA guy. He's got 3 gold medals. I mean, he's done enough on the court.
Multiple 50-win seasons in Denver.
Multiple 50-win seasons.
That was in the toilet before he was there.
Multiple seasons in Denver. Made the Knicks quasi-relevant.
Got him to the second round of the playoffs.
Since he's been there. So, I mean, I think Melo's had a fine, absolutely fine career. Led the league in scoring one time. Absolutely fine career. One of the best scorers we've ever seen. I mean, I think people kind of forget about that because he hasn't won a lot. Melo's top 15 all time in scoring average. I mean, the man gets buckets.
And there's no like, okay, stop his mid-range game because he can take you to the block, even at this phase of his career. He can face you up and beat you off dribble. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like Melo's started as basically like a pure 3, like a guy getting buckets on the wing. Now he's like a 4, getting 20 and 10, like when he need to, like next to Porzingis. I mean, he's changed his game, and he's still been one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen.
Yeah. I think he has underachieved.
Because he hasn't won.
Not just because he hasn't won, because he hasn't competed. It's one thing to be Karl Malone, to get there, get it handed to you. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be a Jerry West.
Charles Barkley.
No, Charles Barkley never got there. If there is there, Charles Barkley's over there.
Charles got there?
Charles got there once in 19 years. Once.
Charles got there.
He came close twice. Let me, hold up. Let's see, because you like to get me riled up here.
I do.
Carmelo is the exact, you know what, you're exactly right, but he ain't even gotten as close as Charles. So as much as Charles infuriates me, but I still like Carmelo. I still love Carmelo. He's one of the few players, and we'll do a show about that. We'll do a segment about that one day of guys you're willing to pay as credentialed media members. You get pretty much free tickets. I'm gonna pay to go watch Russell Westbrook play.
Absolutely.
I'm not going as a member to me. I'm going to watch.
I got to cheer that night.
Yeah. So Carmelo's one of the few guys, but yeah, he has underachieved because that talent. He should be a better defender. He should be a much better rebounder.
But you can say that about a lot of guys, to be honest.
Not really.
You don't think so?
Not the champions.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Not the champions.
That's fair.
And that's where Carmelo falls short. So he has underachieved. I do believe he's misunderstood. But he blows the trumpet for the Charles Barkleys and the Karl Malones of the world. Not even Charles Barkleys, Bernard Kings. I'm trying to think of
Alex English.
Alex English. I think he's a little better than Alex, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. But guys that haven't, the Grant Hills, Tracy McGrady,
Vince Carter.
Exactly. Supremely talented Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant?
Even though he lost in the finals, I don't count that lockout shortened season as an accomplishment. And he hasn't been, close since. So, Dwight Howard's competed for a title, but you could throw him in the list. Guys that have been ultra talented, but have just been missing that one to get them over. And that's Carmelo. The thing about it is, though, Carmelo still has a chance.
Right.
Jim Boeheim, who wasn't on either one of our lists of great coaches, and I don't think he's a great coach.
You don't think he's a great coach?
I think him and Dean Smith have benefited off the talent that they've gotten.
They got to get that. You got to get that talent. You got to bring him in and coach him up. You're recruiting guys to Syracuse.
Have you ever been to Syracuse?
Yeah, I've been to Syracuse.
I don't think that's a bad place to go.
With 30-inch snowstorms?
Yeah, but see, you look at 30-inch snowstorms.
I look at 30-inch snowstorms.
I look at warm rooms and hot chocolate with 5 to 6 girls. Because if you can't go outside, you got to go somewhere.
That's a fair point.
So, there's a benefit to that.
It's a fair point.
And you're in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like Penn State. You got no place to go. Let's just go party at my house.
That's a good point.
Got alcohol, 20-year-old women, and cold weather. Win, win, win. So I don't think it's hard to do that. So no, Syracuse is a beautiful campus and they've got some great programs. So no, I don't think it's hard to. Boeheim and Philly uses the word fraud.
Yes, they don't say it correctly, but yes.
Dean Smith's a fraud.
He's a fraud.
Dean Smith's a fraud. I have the utmost respect for Dean Smith.
Again, Dean Smith, the guy who's won titles in completely different basketball eras.
Dude, he's had the most talented. Him and John Thompson have probably had the most talented players to ever play in college basketball.
I don't
Patrick
disagree.
Ewing was a monster.
Oh, and Dikembe and Alonzo Mourning. Yeah, I don't disagree.
One title?
And AI. No, I don't disagree.
Sam Perkins, Kenny Smith.
James Worthy.
Big Game James, who's another one of my favorite players. Yeah. MJ.
Right.
Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, Rasheed Wallace. Hold on, let me go to page 3. and the doo-doo list, J.R. Reed. You know what I mean? These are the guys that weren't good. Who were monsters in college.
Eric Montross.
You can throw him on the list. He was a monster in college.
He was good.
Too.
No, he was.
He was great in Dean Smith's system. I'm not saying any titles.
You want a couple titles? Can I give him half a title for that Bill Guthridge title? Come on now. You're the man.
I was about to say, and I don't even. Did Dean Smith get Vince Carter? I may need to fact check that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a fraud.
Wow. Okay.
I think he's a fraud. I think he benefited. I don't think
Dean Smith was frauding, as you would say.
He's got game. I just think he's got money. That's why she's with him. I think he's just a fraud.
Wow. Okay.
And I throw that out there. Like, you use this analogy, I'm going to steal it from you again. You put Bob Knight on those teams, you got more champions. They may not go to UNC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You talk about he's recruiting people to a happy spring. UNC Charlotte's beautiful.
Yeah, Charlotte's
so
nice.
Chapel's
nice, yeah.
It ain't like Duke,
right?
Where you're in the middle of nowhere.
It's a triangle. You're about down the road.
You got nothing in Duke. That's what makes Coach K better than Dean Smith. He ain't had half the talent.
You're down the road, man. Come on. Coach K hasn't had the talent?
He hasn't had as much talent.
All the McDonald's All-Americans that go to Duke. Come on now.
If you did an all-Duke team and an all-UNC team, the all-UNC team would blow them out of the water. I think Coach K's had talent. He ain't had the talent Dean Smith's had. We're completely off the Carmelo topic.
Yeah, we're off the rails.
It's a good conversation.
We're off the rails.
I don't think he's had,
let me say this, and I'll agree with you on this. The Duke guys, the UNC guys, are like 20 times better in the pros. I think high school wise, on a high school level, the Duke guys beat the UNC guys. It's not even close. As far as high school accomplishments and accolades,
I disagree.
It's not even close.
Duke players are better than UNC players. Coach K gets them ready for the big boys. We're going to come right back. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files here from Overbrook High School. Roy Burton, Kwame Fisher-Jones. Now, we do a rundown for each show, and we're supposed to be talking Sixers right now.
Yes, sir.
But you threw something at me, so I'm not just going to leave it there.
You got to, come on, let's go.
You honestly believe Duke players in the NBA, Christian Laettner, have been better?
No. UNC guys have been better. I said Duke guys. No. And as far as high school accolades, Duke has recruited more All-Americans and more guys who are talented coming out of high school. In the pros, the UNC guys are 20 times better than those Duke guys have been trash by and large in the pros. It's not even close.
Yeah, I would agree.
But as far as high school, like blue chip high school prospects, Duke smokes the UNC. Smokes them.
Lately. But in the Dean Smith era.
In the Dean Smith, Coach K era.
No, but in the Dean Smith era, I would believe.
In the Dean Smith, Coach K,
Coach K gets them all now, so I can't make that.
But he got a lot of them before, though. I mean, he got
he didn't get that many. He got Bobby Hurley for crying out loud.
He got Laettner. He got Grant Hill.
So I don't think Laettner was that recruited out of high school.
I think he was. I
gotta look at that.
But after that, he got Elton Brand. He got guys from Alaska. He got multiple guys from Alaska.
Like I said, but he started out with like Bobby Hurley and Brian Davis, who cried for no reason. I don't know.
I'm telling you, those guys are good. Jay Billis, those guys are extraordinary talents coming out of high school.
All right, we got to leave the topic.
All right.
So we're talking about talent. So I don't know if there's a way to go to the Sixers when you talk about talent, but our Philadelphia Sixers have been picked to be the worst team in the league. Do you think they're the worst team in the league?
They're not the worst team in the league. ESPN had a couple different summer projections over the past couple of weeks. The one projection had them, was it 24.3 wins for the season, which is
24.5 more than what they had last year.
24.5, worse than the East. I think the Lakers were like 24.3, so you're splitting hairs with that. Another projection had them going.
By the way, I think the Lakers will be better than people think.
We'll talk about that in a second. Another projection had them 20-62, which is a 10-game improvement over last season, but that's 100% better if you look at it that way. So,
do you think they're the worst team in the league?
They are not the worst team in the league. They are not.
You're like the beautiful mind dude with your numbers. Like, what's 5 + 5? Well, the 15.
You got to break it down. They're not the worst team in the league. If you go look at the rosters in this league and you look at the talent on different teams.
Give me 2 teams that are worse.
I will give you, one team that's clearly worse, the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are horrible. They will be horrible. They are worse than the Sixers.
They have horrible everything.
And thumbs up to Danny Ainge for swindling those guys and getting their number 1 pick, because it's going to be a top 3 pick, because the Nets are horrendous. You have Jeremy Lin, Trevor Booker, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. I mean, I know he's local, but if Rondé Hollis-Jefferson...
If he had stayed in college, if you'd stayed one more year, you would... I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, if you stayed one more year at Arizona. But no, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, Jeremy Lin, Trevor Booker. that team might not win 15 games. That team is awful. That's a terrible team. And we'll agree to disagree on the Lakers because I don't know how good the Lakers are going to be. They have talent. They have loads of talent. They're young, man.
They got a point guard.
They're young. Young teams don't win.
I agree, but they've got a point guard. They've got a power forward who can run the floor. They've got a shooting guard who is going to be perfect in the Western Conference in Ingram. And they've got a coach who knows basketball, but they have one thing that you can never chart: pedigree. Pedigree. Magic Johnson will walk through that door. Kobe Bryant will walk through that door.
Right.
And those guys are just irreverent enough to not listen to them, but they'll listen.
Right.
So that's what I think the Sixers will be arguably the worst team in the league.
No, you can make the argument. I just don't think they will be. But you can make that argument. The Nets stink.
The Nets are wretchedly bad. They're so bad I forgot they were in the NBA.
The Nets stink.
And I'm not being facetious. They're so bad. When I went through the list, because I didn't go by divisions because I know the league. So I'm like, I actually forgot the Brooklyn Nets were in the NBA.
As well you should have. As well you should have.
So he wins. He wins that argument. So what are you, 1 in 99 now? They're 1 in 99. So, all right. So as we don't say, I know we're pushed against them. We're going to take a break. But I want to pose a question before we go to break to you and the listening public. Is there a player on this team that you can count on to keep them from being the worst team in the NBA?
That's a good question.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NBA Files. I threw that question to co-host Roy Burton.
Yeah.
Is there a player you can depend on to keep the Sixers from being the worst team in the NBA? I have mine. Who's yours?
You have a guy? Because I don't have a guy. Is he going to be here? That's the question.
Yeah, I think he'll be here because Colangelo's not going to get ready.
Like, Jahlil Okafor is probably day one. He's probably the most talented NBA guy you have on the floor day one. And if he's here, you're probably right. I don't know if he's here. I don't know if he starts. And if he doesn't, I don't know who it is. I mean, like, I could say Ben Simmons, but again, Ben Simmons hasn't played a minute of basketball yet. So I don't know who it is. I'll defer to you on this.
You cannot depend on Ben Simmons.
I'll defer to you on this one.
You know, I think he's getting a mani-petty as we speak.
You can't depend on Jahlil to be here. That's all I'm saying.
Jahlil will be here because Colangelo's not getting rid of him.
Okay.
He's not going to trade him.
Okay.
New probably won't be here. And Dario will probably not
the
be
homie.
Here. He'll probably not be here. He'll probably trade him.
He's not going anywhere.
Somebody will believe like you believe and take him in New Orleans.
I can't wait till you and your son go to the opener and watch Dario Saric drop 16 on the Thunder.
He won't drop 16 points in 40 games.
Get that dub.
He won't drop 16 points. You know what?
Man.
Mark the tape. Just
please
like I said in the cabinet. Mark the tape.
Please mark it.
Dario won't have 16 total points in the first 7 games.
We got to put together a clip of all your wrong predictions and run it at the end of the show.
It'll be a short clip because I'm never wrong. 7 games, Dario won't have 16 points combined.
Okay.
Mark it down.
All right.
Now, if he comes out and scores 16 points in game 1, I'll blow my top. I'll come in and I'll do a whole segment. I will buy a Dario jersey.
You should and wear it on the show. The
last Sixers jersey I bought was Clarence Weatherspoon.
Wow, that's a bad decision.
I will buy a Dario jersey. Well, no, because I didn't want to buy an AI jersey because I thought it was a kiss of death.
Okay.
I didn't buy a Charles Barkley throwback. I had a Moses jersey. But yeah, last jersey I bought. See, that's the mark of a bad team we're talking about.
You don't buy jerseys, yeah?
No, I do buy jerseys. Another reason why we knew the Nets suck, or that they're another level of sucktivity. Bad teams always have good jerseys. The Nets have horrible jerseys too.
They do.
It's another reason why I forgot they were in the NBA. All right, it was a good segment. Good talk.
Good stuff.
We're going to take. That's it for this edition of the NBA Files. Make sure you go to thenbafiles.com. Nets got me all flustered. NBAfiles.com. Take a look at some of the unedited footage as well as some of the shows that you may have missed. Jump on there again to see overtime footage of this segment as we dive more into the Sixers being the worst team in the NBA. For Roy Burton, I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones, broadcasting from Overbrook High School. As always, we appreciate your time here. Be easy.